Eleanor Voss thought she was only fixing old records, until she discovered that every altered page in a library book was changing someone's real life. Names disappeared, identities changed, and forgotten secrets returned. Her search led her to a hidden archive and a mysterious system that had been quietly rewriting history for decades. But the biggest mystery was this: if someone was changing the past, who gave them the power to decide the truth? Part 1: The Strange Margins. The library never truly slept. Even at midnight, when the last visitors had left and the great bronze doors were locked, the building seemed alive. Air moved through hidden vents with a soft whisper. Climate control systems hummed behind centuries-old walls. Thousands of books settled imperceptibly on their shelves, producing tiny sounds that echoed through the darkness like distant footsteps. Eleanor Voss preferred those hours. The silence felt honest. People lied. Records didn't. At least that was what she had believed for most of her life. She sat alone beneath a brass reading lamp in the North Archive room, surrounded by towering shelves of leather-bound volumes. The light illuminated only a small circle around her desk while the rest of the room disappeared into shadows. Outside, rain tapped against the tall windows. Inside, Eleanor carefully turned another page. The book before her was nearly a century old. A local history publication commissioned by one of the city's wealthiest families. Normally, it would have been a routine cataloging assignment. Instead, it had consumed 3 days of her life. Something about it bothered her. She just couldn't explain why. Eleanor adjusted her glasses and examined a paragraph for the 5th time. The donor who had provided the book, a wealthy businessman named Richard Bellamy, had requested verification of several family references before allowing the library to digitize the volume. Simple enough, yet every time Eleanor reviewed the text, she felt a faint sense of contradiction. As though two versions of the same memory were competing inside her head. She rubbed her eyes. Lack of sleep, she decided. Nothing more. The rain intensified outside. She marked another note on her worksheet. Then froze. Her pen remained suspended above the page. Slowly, she leaned closer. The paragraph she had just read no longer matched the note she'd written 10 minutes earlier. Eleanor frowned. That wasn't possible. She checked the note again. According to her records, the book identified Bellamy's great-grandfather as a shipbuilder named Thomas Bellamy. But the page in front of her now described him as a merchant banker. She stared. One line. One profession. A tiny difference. Yet she felt certain it hadn't been there before. Had she misread it? She flipped back several pages. Then forward again. Merchant banker. The words remained unchanged. Eleanor opened her laptop and accessed the preliminary transcription she had completed earlier that evening. The digital copy still showed. Thomas Bellamy, shipbuilder. Her pulse quickened. A transcription error? Perhaps. But Eleanor rarely made transcription errors. Especially not simple ones. She compared the text again. Shipbuilder. Merchant banker. Two entirely different lives. The discrepancy was small enough that most people would never notice. Yet the longer she stared at it, the stranger it felt. Because the paragraph itself showed no signs of alteration. No erased ink. No replacement page. No restoration marks. Nothing. It looked original. As if it had always said merchant banker. A chill crept through her. Not fear. Confusion. The dangerous cousin of fear. Eleanor closed the book. She needed another perspective. The next morning arrived gray and cold. The library occupied an entire city block and resembled a cathedral more than an academic institution. Marble columns lined the entrance. Massive arched windows reflected the cloudy sky. Tourists often photographed the building without realizing that its true treasures lay hidden far below ground. Millions of records. Private collections. Letters. Maps. Diaries. Entire lifetimes preserved in paper and ink. Eleanor crossed the main hall carrying a stack of files. The scent of old books lingered everywhere. Near the central staircase, she spotted Arthur Finch. The retired archivist moved slowly these days, leaning on a polished cane. His white hair resembled scattered paper illuminated by morning sunlight. Arthur had spent 40 years inside the library. Many employees joked that he knew the collection better than the architects. Eleanor trusted him more than anyone. Arthur. He looked up. Eleanor. She placed the file on a nearby table. I need your opinion. Arthur smiled. That sounds dangerous. She opened the Bellamy volume. Within minutes, she had explained the discrepancy. Arthur listened without interruption. When she finished, he examined the page carefully. Then he studied her notes. His smile disappeared. Interesting. That's all you have to say. It's interesting. Arthur. He remained silent for several moments. Do you still have yesterday's photographs? Eleanor blinked. Photographs? Of the page. I didn't take any. Arthur's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. The reaction lasted less than a second. But Eleanor noticed. What? Nothing. You know something. No. Arthur. He closed the book. You're probably looking at a printing variation. But it happens. Not like this. Arthur tapped the page. Books are less stable than people imagine. Something in his voice sounded rehearsed. For the first time, Eleanor sensed hesitation. Not uncertainty. Avoidance. Before she could push further, Arthur stood. I have a meeting. You retired. Exactly. He smiled faintly. That's why every meeting feels important. Then he walked away. Eleanor watched him disappear into the crowd. The unease returned. Stronger this time. Because Arthur Finch never avoided questions. Especially questions about books. By afternoon, Eleanor had convinced herself she was overreacting. The discrepancy remained unusual but explainable. Printing mistakes happened. Publishing errors happened. Human memory failed constantly. Reality was rarely as mysterious as it seemed. Still, something nagged at her. So she requested another copy. The Bellamy history had been printed in limited numbers. The library owned two. The second volume arrived from secure storage shortly before closing time. Eleanor carried it to a private examination room. Carefully, she placed both books side by side. Same title. Same publisher. Same edition. Same publication year. Identical in every visible way. She opened the first copy. Merchant banker. She opened the second. Shipbuilder. The room suddenly felt smaller. Eleanor stared at both pages. Again. And again. The difference was undeniable. Two supposedly identical books. Two different histories. Neither showed signs of tampering. Neither appeared damaged. Both looked authentic. For several moments she simply sat there, listening to the ticking clock on the wall. A rational explanation existed. There had to be one. But she couldn't find it. The discrepancy seemed insignificant. Just one profession. One ancestor. One sentence. Yet it carried consequences. A shipbuilder and a banker leave different records. Different assets. Different relationships. Different descendants. Different stories. Eleanor photographed both pages. Then she searched newspaper archives. Tax records. Shipping manifests. Business directories. Anything connected to Thomas Bellamy. The results made her stomach tighten. Because the records disagreed. Some identified him as a shipbuilder. Others listed him as a banker. A few mentioned both. As though two versions of the same man existed simultaneously inside history. The contradictions multiplied the deeper she searched. By 8 o'clock, the library was nearly empty. By 9, she was alone again. Rain battered the windows. Thunder rolled somewhere beyond the city skyline. Eleanor sat surrounded by documents. Patterns emerged. Then vanished. Every answer generated new questions. Finally she pushed away from the desk. Enough. She would continue tomorrow. Exhaustion was turning shadows into mysteries. She packed her notes. Closed her laptop. Locked the examination room. Then paused. Something felt wrong. A tiny detail. A sensation she couldn't identify. Slowly she turned back toward the table. The Bellamy volume remained where she had left it. At least, she thought it did. Eleanor approached. Opened the book. And felt every muscle in her body go still. The page had changed. Not dramatically. Not obviously. Just enough. A dedication printed near the bottom was different from the one she remembered reading an hour earlier. She checked her photograph. Then looked at the page. Then checked again. The names no longer matched. For several seconds she simply stared. The silence pressed against her ears. Rain hammered the glass. The library seemed impossibly vast around her. Empty. Watching. Waiting. Eleanor looked down at the photograph one last time. The image clearly showed one dedication. The book in front of her now showed another. And for the first time since this began, a disturbing possibility entered her mind. What if the problem wasn't the records she was finding? What if the records themselves were changing? She slowly closed the book. Then noticed something written faintly in pencil along the inside margin. 3 words. Words she was absolutely certain had not been there before. Check the earlier copy. Eleanor stared at the message. The handwriting looked old. Deliberate. Familiar. And somewhere deep inside her memory, she realized she had seen that handwriting before. It belonged to Arthur Finch. Part 2, The Duplicate. Eleanor Voss barely slept. The words remained with her long after she left the library. Check the earlier copy. 3 simple words. 3 impossible words. She had examined the Bellamy volume herself. The margin had been blank. She was certain of it. Yet when she closed the book for the final time, the message had been there, written in faint pencil strokes that looked decades old. And worse, she recognized the handwriting. Arthur Finch. By 2 in the morning she had convinced herself there was a rational explanation. By 4, she no longer believed it. The next day arrived under a blanket of low gray clouds. The city seemed muted, as though someone had lowered the volume of the world. Eleanor entered the library through the staff entrance and immediately headed toward the secure collections wing. She wanted answers before doubt had time to settle in. The Bellamy books waited exactly where she had left them. At first glance they appeared identical. Same binding. Same publisher. Same year. Same aging patterns. Yet the moment she opened them side by side, the differences became impossible to ignore. The first volume described Thomas Bellamy as a merchant banker. The second identified him as a shipbuilder. Different professions. Different histories. Neither appeared altered. Neither looked counterfeit. Both seemed authentic. Eleanor photographed every page. Not just the disputed sections. Everything. Dedications. Indexes. References. Illustrations. By noon she had documented over 30 discrepancies. Some were small. A middle initial. A date. A location. Others were more troubling. Entire paragraphs existed in one copy but not the other. A family member appeared in one version and vanished from the next. A marriage was recorded differently. A business partnership shifted by nearly 5 years. Individually, the changes meant little. Together, they painted two slightly different versions of the Bellamy. Family history. It was as though someone had rewritten reality with a very careful hand. Not enough to attract attention. Just enough to change outcomes. The realization made her uncomfortable. Because history wasn't built from dramatic events alone. History was built from details. Tiny details. The kind most people ignored. The kind archivists protected. A knock interrupted her thoughts. She looked up. Marcus Hale stood in the doorway holding 2 cups of coffee. "Someone told me you've been hiding in here since sunrise." Marcus worked in digital preservation. Most of the library considered him a technical wizard. He could restore damaged manuscripts, recover corrupted archives, and navigate databases that made other employees nervous. He was also one of the few people Eleanor tolerated before her second cup of coffee. "You look terrible," Marcus observed. "Good morning to you too." He handed her a cup. "What happened?" Eleanor hesitated. Then she showed him the books. Marcus spent several minutes examining them. His expression gradually shifted from amusement to concentration. "That's strange." "That's what I said." "No, I mean genuinely strange." He pointed toward a paragraph. "The typography differs." Eleanor blinked. "What?" Marcus adjusted his glasses. "Look closely." She leaned forward. At first she saw nothing. Then she noticed it. The letter spacing. Barely visible. Yet undeniably different. The words occupied the same physical space on the page. But the font alignment wasn't identical. As though the pages had been typeset separately. "Different printings?" Eleanor asked. Marcus shook his head. "Maybe." The uncertainty in his voice suggested otherwise. He examined several additional pages. Then another. And another. Eventually he sat back. "I've never seen anything quite like this." Neither had Eleanor. That was precisely the problem. The library contained millions of books. Yet nothing in her experience explained what sat before them. Marcus glanced toward the window. Rain slid down the glass. "Have you shown Arthur?" The question tightened something inside her chest. "I spoke to him yesterday. And he acted strange." Marcus laughed softly. "Arthur always acts strange." "No. Stranger." She told him about the message. The handwriting. The margin note. Everything. For the first time, Marcus looked genuinely unsettled. "You're sure it wasn't already there?" "Absolutely." He studied her face. Then nodded. "You don't sound uncertain." "I'm not." Silence settled between them. Neither seemed eager to voice the obvious conclusion. Because the obvious conclusion was impossible. Finally Marcus stood. "I'll check the digitization records." "Why?" "If these books came from different source scans at some point, there might be metadata discrepancies." It wasn't much. But it was something. Eleanor watched him leave. Then returned to the books. Hours passed. Outside, the weather worsened. The library grew quieter. Researchers departed. Students disappeared. The steady rhythm of footsteps faded from the corridors. By evening, Eleanor had uncovered another anomaly. This one disturbed her more than all the others combined. A citation. Near the end of chapter 9. A reference to a regional shipping ledger from 1894. She searched the library catalog. Nothing. She checked external databases. Nothing. The cited document appeared not to exist. Perhaps it had been lost. Perhaps it had been renamed. Yet the reference itself seemed unusually precise. As if someone expected future readers to verify it. She searched again. And again. Still nothing. A dead end. The first of many. At 6:30, Marcus returned. His expression told her everything before he spoke. "You found something." "I found too much." He dropped a folder onto the table. Inside were printouts from the library's digital archive system. Eleanor scanned the pages. Her pulse quickened. The records conflicted. Not just slightly. Fundamentally. Different database snapshots preserved different versions of the same text. Versions separated by years. Versions separated by months. Sometimes versions separated by only days. Yet no revision logs existed. No record of edits. No explanation. Nothing. "That's impossible," Eleanor whispered. "That's what our system says." She looked up. "What does that mean?" Marcus hesitated. Then answered carefully. "It means somebody changed things. Recently? I don't know. Can you trace it?" "No." The single word carried alarming weight. Marcus rarely admitted defeat. If he couldn't trace the changes, someone had been extremely thorough. Or extremely powerful. A sudden sound echoed through the room. A metallic thud somewhere beyond the archives. Both turned. Silence followed. The library had a way of producing mysterious noises. Old buildings always did. Still, neither moved. After several seconds, Marcus exhaled. Probably maintenance. Probably. Yet neither sounded convinced. The conversation ended shortly afterward. Marcus returned to his department. Eleanor remained. The mystery refused to release its grip. At 9 o'clock she finally packed her notes. Exhaustion clouded her thoughts. Tomorrow would be more productive. Tomorrow would make sense. At least she hoped so. As she exited the archive room, a familiar figure appeared at the far end of the corridor. Arthur Finch. The old archivist stood alone beneath a pool of yellow light. His cane rested against one shoulder. His face appeared unusually serious. For a moment neither moved. Then Arthur gestured for her to approach. Eleanor crossed the corridor. "Arthur." He looked around before speaking. "Not nervous. Careful. There are some questions," he said quietly, "that become dangerous when you find the answers." Eleanor stared. "What does that mean?" "It means stop looking at the Bellamy books." "No." His eyes hardened. "Listen to me." "No." Arthur studied her for several seconds. Then sighed. The sound carried years of exhaustion. "You remind me of someone." "Who?" "Myself." The answer surprised her. Arthur reached into his coat pocket. He removed a folded piece of paper. Old. Yellowed. Worn from handling. "Take this." She unfolded it. A call number. Nothing else. No title. No explanation. Just a catalog reference. "What is it?" Arthur looked down the corridor. His expression changed. Fear. Real fear. The sight shocked her. She had never seen Arthur Finch afraid of anything. "The earlier copy," he said softly. Then he turned and walked away. Eleanor watched him disappear around the corner. Confused, she looked back at the paper. The call number belonged to a book stored deep within the library's oldest collection. A collection rarely accessed. A collection that, according to the catalog, contained only one surviving copy. But as Eleanor stared at the reference, another detail caught her attention. A handwritten note appeared beneath the number. Small. Almost invisible. Written in Arthur's unmistakable script. 3 words. Never trust duplicates. And before she could fully process what that meant, every light in the corridor suddenly went dark. Darkness swallowed the corridor. For a second, Eleanor stood perfectly still. The library was old enough to produce occasional electrical problems, but power failures were rare. The building possessed multiple backup systems specifically designed to protect the collections stored within its walls. Yet the corridor remained black. Not dim. Not shadowed. Black. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm chirped once and fell silent. Eleanor tightened her grip on the folded paper Arthur had given her. A few seconds later, emergency lights flickered to life along the baseboards. Thin strips of pale white illumination stretched across the floor, transforming the hallway into something unfamiliar. The towering shelves cast long skeletal shadows. Every doorway seemed deeper. Every corner seemed farther away. Eleanor looked toward the spot where Arthur had been standing. Empty. He had vanished around the corner only moments earlier. Now she could hear nothing. No footsteps. No cane tapping against marble. Nothing. The silence unsettled her more than the darkness. She hurried after him. The emergency lights guided her through the corridor. When she reached the corner, she stopped. Arthur was gone. There were only 2 possible directions. One led toward the main reading rooms. The other descended into the restricted archive levels. Both appeared empty. Arthur? Her voice echoed softly. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. A strange feeling settled in her stomach. Not fear exactly. The sensation that she had arrived a few seconds too late. After several minutes of searching, she gave up and headed toward the security office. The power returned before she arrived. Lights blinked back to life throughout the building. Normality returned instantly. Yet Eleanor couldn't shake the feeling that something important had happened during those brief moments of darkness. Something she had missed. The following morning, Arthur Finch did not come to the library. At first nobody found that unusual. Arthur was retired. He visited frequently but maintained no schedule. By noon, however, Eleanor began making inquiries. No one had seen him. No one had spoken to him. No one knew where he was. The responses felt oddly casual. As though his absence required no explanation. By late afternoon, concern had replaced curiosity. Eleanor called his apartment. No answer. She called again. Nothing. A third attempt went directly to voicemail. She left a message. Then another. Still nothing. The folded paper remained in her desk drawer. The call number Arthur had provided seemed increasingly important. Before leaving for the evening, she finally decided to investigate. The reference led to sublevel 4. The oldest storage section in the entire library. Most employees rarely visited it. Even experienced archivists tended to avoid it unless absolutely necessary. The lower levels had been constructed in stages over nearly a century. As a result, the architecture became increasingly confusing the deeper one traveled. Narrow corridors. Low ceilings. Storage rooms hidden behind storage rooms. Entire sections forgotten by newer staff. Eleanor descended alone. The air grew cooler with every level. By the time she reached sublevel 4, the sounds of the library above had vanished completely. Only the distant hum of climate control systems remained. She followed signs through a maze of compact shelving units. Eventually she located the call number. The book rested inside a protective archival box. Nothing about it appeared remarkable. Its title read, Regional Commercial Directory, 1895 edition. A business directory. Hardly the kind of document that inspired mystery. Yet Arthur had risked warning her about it. Carefully, Eleanor carried the volume to a nearby examination table. She opened it. At first she found nothing unusual. Pages filled with advertisements. Business listings. Shipping records. Property ownership information. Exactly what she expected. Then she reached page 412. A folded slip of paper fell into her lap. Eleanor froze. Slowly she unfolded it. The paper was old. Far older than Arthur's note. A handwritten message filled one side. Only a single sentence. The references disappear first. She stared. No signature. No date. Nothing else. A chill moved through her. The references disappear first. What did that mean? She turned back to the book. And then she noticed something strange. Several citations had been crossed out in pencil. Not aggressively. Carefully. Methodically. Each mark appeared decades old. Beside one crossed-out citation someone had written a number. Another number appeared beside a second citation. And another. A pattern. Eleanor copied them onto her notebook. There were 12 in total. 12 references. 12 numbers. She had no idea what they meant. Yet she recognized something important. Whoever had left the note wasn't hiding information. They were leaving a trail. A trail intended for someone else to follow. Back upstairs, Eleanor entered the numbers into the library catalog. Nothing happened. She tried again. Still nothing. Then she removed the final digit from the first number. The search produced a result. A historical newspaper. The second number produced another. The third. Another. By midnight she understood what she was seeing. The numbers corresponded to missing references. Documents that once existed inside the archive system. Documents that no longer appeared in public searches. The discovery raised an obvious question. Where had they gone? Records didn't simply disappear. Especially inside a library. Libraries were designed specifically to prevent that. Eleanor opened one of the archived newspaper scans. The article itself seemed unremarkable. A shipping report from 1895. The citation at the bottom referenced a ledger. She searched for the ledger. No result. Exactly as before. The citation remained. The source had vanished. Another newspaper. Another missing source. Another dead end. Again and again. A pattern emerged. References pointed toward documents that no longer existed. Or at least no longer appeared to exist. It was as though pieces of history had been quietly removed while leaving traces of their former presence behind. Ghosts. Not supernatural ghosts. Documentary ghosts. Evidence that something had once been there. Evidence that someone wanted forgotten. Eleanor leaned back in her chair. The clock showed 1:17 a.m. She should have gone home hours ago. Instead she found herself staring at a growing list of vanished records. The deeper she searched, the stranger the pattern became. Because all the missing references seemed connected. Not by subject. Not by time period. By people. Certain names appeared repeatedly. Certain families. Certain businesses. Certain institutions. Always at the edges. Never obvious. Like fingerprints partially wiped away. Someone had been editing history. Not rewriting it completely. Just sanding down specific details. Enough to alter the picture. Not enough to attract attention. The realization made her uneasy. Because that required patience. Resources. Planning. Years of planning. Maybe decades. The next morning brought another surprise. Marcus Hale appeared at her office carrying a tablet and an expression she didn't like. "Tell me you found something good." "I found something. Not encouraging." Marcus closed the door behind him. Then placed the tablet on her desk. Security footage filled the screen. The hallway outside the archive room. Time stamp, 9:11 p.m. The previous night. Eleanor frowned. "What am I looking at?" "You." The footage began playing. Eleanor watched herself leave the archive room. Pause. Look down the corridor. Then walk away. Normal. Completely normal. Until Marcus zoomed in. A second figure stood at the far end of the hallway. Arthur Finch. Exactly where Eleanor remembered seeing him. Her pulse quickened. "See?" Marcus nodded. "Keep watching." The video continued. Arthur raised one hand. Then the footage glitched. For less than a second. A brief distortion. Static. When the image returned, Arthur was gone. Not walking away. Not leaving frame. Gone. Eleanor stared. What happened? That's the problem. Marcus rewound. Played it again. Same result. Arthur vanished during the glitch. Impossible. There had to be a technical explanation. Yet neither could identify one. Marcus folded his arms. It gets worse. He tapped the screen. A new window opened. Library employee records. Arthur Finch's personnel file. Or rather, what remained of it. Eleanor's stomach tightened. The file was nearly empty. No employment history. No department assignments. No archival projects. Nothing. Only basic identification information. The detailed records she knew existed were missing. Someone deleted them. Marcus shook his head slowly. I checked system logs. And there aren't any deletion records. Silence filled the office. Eleanor stared at the screen. Her mind struggled to process what she was seeing. Arthur Finch had worked in the library for 40 years. Everyone knew that. Thousands of documents should have reflected it. Yet his records were disappearing. Not physically. Administratively. Digitally. Systematically. Exactly like the missing references she had spent all night investigating. Marcus looked at her. Eleanor. What? His expression tightened. I tried calling Arthur this morning. So did I. He didn't answer. A pause. Then. Neither did anyone at his apartment building. Eleanor felt a cold weight settle in her chest. Something had happened. She didn't know what. She didn't know why. But for the first time since discovering the Bellamy books, the mystery no longer felt academic. It felt personal. Dangerously personal. Because Arthur Finch had known something. And now Arthur Finch was missing. As Marcus gathered his tablet, Eleanor glanced once more at the nearly empty personnel file. Her eyes stopped on a single line buried near the bottom. One surviving entry. A project assignment from 23 years earlier. Most of the description had been erased. Only 3 words remained visible. Correction Review Committee. Eleanor had never heard of it. Yet somehow she knew. This was the first real clue. The words stayed with Eleanor all night. Correction Review Committee. 3 ordinary words. Yet they felt heavier than they should. She had searched the library's internal records for the phrase until the early hours of the morning. Nothing. No committee. No minutes. No members. No reports. No mention anywhere. And that was what frightened her. Because organizations left traces. Every institution did. Meetings created documents. Projects created files. People created evidence. Even forgotten things usually left behind a shadow. But the Correction Review Committee appeared to have existed without ever existing. Like someone had carefully removed every footprint after walking through history. Eleanor arrived at work before sunrise. The city outside the library was still quiet. Streetlights reflected on wet pavement. The world looked unfinished. Like a photograph waiting to be developed. She entered through the staff entrance and immediately headed downstairs. The Bellamy volumes were still locked in the archive room. She needed to know if the changes continued. If yesterday had been a mistake, everything could still be explained. A printing error. A cataloging issue. A damaged record. Anything. Anything except what her instincts suggested. She unlocked the examination room. The books waited exactly where she had left them. Eleanor approached slowly. Opened the first. Merchant banker. Opened the second. Shipbuilder. Still different. She released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The mystery remained. But now she knew one thing. She wasn't imagining it. She photographed both pages again. Then compared them against yesterday's images. That was when she noticed something impossible. The photographs had changed. Not the books, the photographs. Her hands became cold. She opened the image files. Yesterday's pictures should have shown the two different versions. Instead, both images now displayed the same text. Both said, Thomas Bellamy, merchant banker. Eleanor stared at the screen. A wave of disbelief moved through her. She checked the file details. The timestamps were unchanged. The photos had not been replaced. According to the device, they were the same files she created yesterday. But the content was different. Her own evidence had changed. For several seconds she simply sat there. The most disturbing part wasn't that the records were different. It was that the proof of the difference had disappeared. Someone had not only changed history. They had changed the evidence of the change. A quiet sound came from behind her. The door opening. Eleanor turned sharply. Marcus stood there. You look like you saw a crime scene. She slowly turned the laptop toward him. Look. He studied the images. His eyebrows tightened. What am I supposed to see? The photos changed. Marcus looked at her. Then back at the screen. Changed how? They showed different text yesterday. He stared for several seconds. Eleanor. I know what you're thinking. Do you? That I made a mistake. Marcus said nothing. Which was worse? Because he didn't deny it. She stood. I documented this. I believe you. But photographs don't usually rewrite themselves. The sentence hung between them. Eleanor hated that he was right. Can you recover the original files? Marcus nodded slowly. I'll try. He took the laptop. Then paused. Before we do anything else. What? Did you tell anyone about Arthur's file? The question surprised her. No. Not even Victor. Eleanor frowned. Victor Wren. The library director. A respected historian. A man who had spent his entire career protecting the institution's reputation. Why would I tell him? Marcus looked away. Because someone already knows. Eleanor felt the room become colder. What do you mean? Marcus opened his tablet. He showed her a notification. A security alert. An access log. Someone had entered the archive system at 3:42 a.m. They accessed Eleanor's research folder. The folder containing everything about the Bellamy books. Everything about Arthur. Everything about the missing references. Eleanor felt anger replace fear. Who? Marcus expanded the details. Then stopped. That's the problem. What? The account doesn't exist. She stared at him. That makes no sense. I know. An account accessed the system but doesn't exist. Marcus nodded. And whoever used it didn't just open your files. He turned the screen toward her. They copied them. By midday, Eleanor was exhausted. Not physically. Mentally. Her entire understanding of the library was collapsing. The place she had trusted more than anywhere suddenly felt unfamiliar. She had spent years believing archives were simple. A record existed. Or it didn't. A fact was preserved. Or it was lost. But now she was facing something more dangerous. A system capable of deciding what counted as truth. Marcus spent hours analyzing the access logs. Eleanor returned to the Bellamy case. She needed something solid. Something that couldn't shift. She searched through old newspapers. Family records. University publications. Anything related to Thomas Bellamy. Then she found a name. A historian. Professor Daniel Whitmore. He had written the original biography of the Bellamy family. The book was considered the definitive source, except something was wrong. According to the current library catalog, Daniel Whitmore had never written it. The author listed now was someone else. A researcher named Helen Cross. Eleanor stared at the screen. That was impossible. She knew Whitmore's work. Every historian knew his work. She searched deeper. The changes spread. University pages. Book reviews. Academic references. Everywhere. Daniel Whitmore's name was slowly disappearing. His career was being replaced. His publications were being reassigned. His professional identity was being rewritten. Not erased. Replaced. A terrifying thought formed. Maybe the books weren't the target. Maybe people were. She found Daniel Whitmore's original book in the rare collection. The physical copy. The last place where something should remain untouched. The cover confirmed it. Author. Daniel Whitmore. She opened the first page. The author's signature was there. A personal inscription. To Eleanor, who believes history belongs to those who protect it. She froze. The dedication was addressed to her. Impossible. She had never met Daniel Whitmore. He had died 15 years earlier. Her fingers trembled as she checked the date. The inscription was written 20 years ago. Before she was even working at the library. Before she was known as an archivist. She looked closer. The handwriting was not Daniel's. Someone had added the message later. But why her name? Why would anyone write it? She turned the page. A small handwritten note appeared near the bottom. Different handwriting. Older. Familiar. Arthur's. Only one sentence. Find the first author. Eleanor stared at the words. First author. Not original author. Not real author. First. The distinction mattered. Because if there was a first author, there was another one. She closed the book. Her thoughts raced. Someone had been altering histories. Changing records. Replacing names. But now a new possibility emerged. What if they weren't correcting mistakes? What if they were correcting people? The idea terrified her. Because identities were built from records. Careers. Families. Achievements. Everything. A person could disappear without physically disappearing. All it took was convincing the world they had never existed. That evening, Eleanor returned to the main archive. She needed to find Arthur. Not through records. Through memories. She searched old photographs from library events. Staff celebrations. Historical conferences. Retirement dinners. Anything. After hours of searching, she found what she wanted. A photograph from 23 years ago. The opening of a new archive wing. Dozens of employees stood together. Including Arthur Finch. Eleanor zoomed in. There were other familiar faces. But one person caught her attention. A younger Victor Wren. Standing beside Arthur. Both looking directly at the camera. Both smiling. Between them was a woman Eleanor didn't recognize. She enlarged the image. The woman's name tag was visible. Only partially. She could read 3 letters. Sure. Then the image quality degraded. Eleanor saved the photograph. Something was hidden there. Something important. Before she could investigate further, her phone vibrated. A message. Unknown number. Only one sentence. Stop searching for Arthur Finch. Eleanor stared at the screen. A second message arrived. He already found what he was looking for. Then a final message appeared. And now you have 2. The phone went silent. Eleanor looked around the empty archive. For the first time, she understood something. She wasn't investigating a mystery anymore. She was inside one. The message remained on Eleanor's phone for almost an hour. 3 sentences. No name. No explanation. Just a warning. Stop searching for Arthur Finch. He already found what he was looking for. And now you have 2. She read it repeatedly, hoping the words would somehow reveal more. They didn't. The sender had chosen every word carefully. That was what disturbed her. It wasn't a threat. Not exactly. A threat was emotional. This was something colder. A statement. As if whoever sent it already knew what she would do next. Eleanor placed the phone on the desk and stared at the photograph she had found. The opening of the archive wing. 23 years earlier. Arthur Finch standing beside Victor Wren. And the unknown woman with the damaged name tag. A woman connected to the word. Sure. The same beginning hidden in Arthur's old file. Correction Review Committee. A coincidence? She no longer believed in coincidences. Not here. Not anymore. The next morning, Eleanor arrived before anyone else. She wanted the library empty. Quiet. A place where she could think without watching eyes. The first thing she did was request Arthur Finch's complete employment history. Not the digital version. The original paper file. If someone had altered electronic records, the physical archive should still contain proof. At least that was how it was supposed to work. 20 minutes later, a storage assistant returned with a confused expression. Ms. Voss? Yes. I couldn't locate it. Eleanor frowned. Arthur Finch worked here for 40 years. The assistant checked the folder in his hands. I'm aware. Then there should be a personnel file. There isn't one. For a moment, Eleanor simply stared. That's impossible. The assistant looked uncomfortable. I searched twice. Search again. Ms. Voss. Please. Something in her voice made him stop arguing. He returned downstairs. Eleanor waited. The waiting was the worst part. Because she already knew the answer. 10 minutes later, the assistant returned. Still empty-handed. Nothing. Eleanor thanked him and dismissed him. Then she sat alone, trying to understand. A person could lose records. A document could be misplaced. A database could fail. But a 40-year career didn't simply vanish. Not unless someone wanted it gone. She began with the oldest evidence. Library photographs. Staff newsletters. Conference programs. Anything created before digital systems controlled everything. She searched for Arthur Finch. The results should have been overwhelming. A man who spent 4 decades in one institution should have appeared everywhere. Instead, she found almost nothing. A few photographs. A handful of mentions. But even those contained inconsistencies. In one article, Arthur was described as a senior archivist. In another, the same event listed a different person in his position. Eleanor opened a retirement announcement from 12 years earlier. The headline read, "Honoring 40 years of service." She expected Arthur's name. It wasn't there. The article celebrated another employee. A man Eleanor had never heard of. She searched that name. The person existed. But the career history belonged to Arthur. Same department. Same achievements. Same projects. Different identity. Eleanor leaned back. The room suddenly felt too small. It wasn't just that Arthur was disappearing. Someone was replacing him at noon. Marcus arrived. He took one look at her face and knew something had happened. "What did you find?" Eleanor turned her monitor toward him. "Arthur Finch never worked here." Marcus stared. "That's impossible. That's what everyone says." She showed him the records. The missing files. The altered announcements. The replaced employee history. Marcus became quiet. For several minutes, he said nothing. Then, "Okay." Eleanor looked at him. "Okay. I'm trying to find the logical explanation. Have you found one?" "No." The honesty surprised her. Marcus was usually the person who found the technical answer. The hidden mistake. The overlooked detail. This time, there was nothing. "I checked the access logs again," he said. "And?" "The account that copied your research appeared again." Eleanor looked up. "When?" "Last night. While I was here." Marcus nodded. "What did they access?" He hesitated. "Arthur's files." A cold feeling moved through her. "Someone is watching the investigation." "Yes." "Why?" Marcus didn't answer. Because they both knew. The answer was obvious. Someone was afraid of what they would find. That afternoon, Eleanor decided to search the physical archives for anything connected to the unknown woman in the photograph. She returned to the old event records. The archive opening. 23 years earlier. The photograph came from a staff collection. A box labeled Institutional History, Internal Use Only. Inside were dozens of pictures. Eleanor examined every face. Then she found another image. Same event. Different angle. This time the woman's name tag was clearer. Her name was Clara Whitmore. Eleanor froze. The surname meant something. She searched her memory. Daniel Whitmore. The historian whose identity had started disappearing. The author who wrote the original Bellamy biography. The author who no longer seemed to exist. Clara Whitmore was his wife. Or had been. Eleanor searched further. According to current records, Daniel Whitmore had never married Clara. In fact, current records showed Daniel had never been married at all. But the photograph proved otherwise. A small contradiction. A tiny correction. Another piece removed. Eleanor opened an old staff newsletter. A group photo caption listed Clara as Research Coordinator, Historical Corrections Project. Her hands stopped moving. There it was. The phrase. Again. Historical Corrections Project. Not committee. Project. Different name. Same idea. She searched the newsletter. Only one article mentioned it. A short announcement. Several senior researchers have begun reviewing inconsistencies in historical collections to improve accuracy and preservation. Nothing suspicious. Nothing dramatic. Almost harmless. But the date caught her attention. 23 years earlier. Exactly when the photograph was taken. Exactly when the mysterious project began. Marcus entered carrying his laptop. Eleanor. She looked up. His expression was serious. What happened? I found something. He placed the laptop on her desk. A scanned document appeared. Old. Damaged. Partially unreadable. But one section was clear. A list of names. Researchers. Archivists. Historians. People involved in the project. Eleanor scanned down the page. Then stopped. A name near the bottom. Daniel Whitmore. Beside it. Removed. She looked at Marcus. What does remove mean? I don't know. The next line answered her. A handwritten note in the margin. Not typed. Not official. Someone had written. Removed from records. Eleanor felt a chill. Not removed from the project. Not removed from the library. Removed from records. As if the person themselves could be edited out. She looked back at the list. Then another name caught her attention. Near the top. The project director. Her breathing stopped. Because the name was familiar. A name she had seen every day. A name she trusted. Victor Wren. The discovery changed everything. Victor Wren wasn't just connected. He was at the center. The library director. The man responsible for protecting the institution. The man who had access to every archive. Every record. Every correction. Eleanor closed the document. A terrible thought entered her mind. Maybe Victor wasn't helping them. Maybe he was controlling everything. Her phone vibrated. Another unknown message. She opened it. Only one line. Now you understand why Arthur disappeared. A second message followed. He discovered the truth about Victor Wren. Eleanor stared at the screen. Then a third message appeared. You should ask yourself one question. A pause. Then. Why did Victor let you find this? Eleanor read the message 3 times. Why did Victor let you find this? The question felt more dangerous than any threat. Because it suggested something she had not considered. Maybe she wasn't discovering secrets. Maybe she was being guided toward them. She looked at the document on her screen. Victor Wren. Project Director. Historical Corrections Project. 23 years ago. The man who had welcomed her into the library. The man who had defended archives as sacred places of truth. The man who always told young researchers. A record is a promise that the past made to the future. The memory bothered her now. Because it sounded too perfect. Too carefully chosen. Eleanor closed the laptop. Marcus. He looked up from his desk. Yes. We need to talk to Victor. Marcus studied her expression. Are you sure? No. That answer surprised him. Then she continued. But we need to know. Victor Wren's office was located on the top floor of the library. The highest point in the building. A place designed to feel removed from the chaos below. The walls were lined with historical paintings. Old maps. Rare artifacts. Everything about the room communicated authority. Control. Victor stood near the window when Eleanor and Marcus entered. He did not turn around. "I was wondering when you would come." The sentence made Eleanor stop. "You knew." Victor slowly turned. His expression was calm. Too calm. "I knew eventually you would ask questions." "About Arthur?" A shadow crossed his face. Brief. Almost invisible. But real. "Yes." "Where is he?" Victor looked toward the window again. "I don't know." Eleanor watched him carefully. The answer sounded honest. That frightened her. "You were part of the historical corrections project." Silence. Marcus closed the door behind them. Victor did not deny it. Instead, he walked toward his desk. "I wondered how long it would take you to find that. Why did you hide it?" "I didn't." Eleanor almost laughed. "Your name is on the document." "Yes." "Your project erased people's identities." Victor looked directly at her. "No." The answer was immediate. "Certain." "Then explain Arthur." "I can't." "Can't or won't." Victor said nothing. The silence itself became an answer. Eleanor felt anger rising. "You expect me to believe you had nothing to do with this? I expect you to understand something." He moved toward the shelves behind his desk. History is not as simple as people want it to be. He removed an old folder. Placed it on the table. Every archive contains errors. Errors? Wrong names. Wrong dates. False claims. Misattributed work. Corrupted records. He opened the folder. Inside were dozens of examples. Historical mistakes. Documents that contradicted each other. 25 years ago, a group of historians, archivists, and researchers created a project to identify inconsistencies. Eleanor looked at him. To correct them. Yes. And who decided what was correct? Victor paused. That was the question. The real question. Finally he answered. That was the mistake. He showed them an old report. The first pages were normal. A research proposal. A preservation initiative. A project designed to compare historical sources. Then Eleanor reached the final page. A handwritten note. Different from the official text. Correction requires authority. She frowned. Who wrote this? Victor didn't answer. Victor. He looked tired. That sentence changed everything. What does it mean? It means the project stopped asking what was true. He tapped the paper. And started deciding what should be accepted as true. The room became quiet. Marcus stepped closer. So the project changed records? Victor shook his head. At first, no. At first, the original purpose was comparison. Finding mistakes. Preserving conflicting sources. And then? Victor looked away. People discovered something. What? That institutions don't preserve history. He looked at Eleanor. They create it. The words unsettled her. Explain. A historical fact only survives if enough systems recognize it. He pointed toward the library. A book. A university record. A newspaper archive. A government document. He paused. Remove enough connections, and a fact becomes uncertain. Eleanor understood. A person didn't need to be erased completely. They only needed to become questionable. The world didn't need proof they never existed. It only needed enough confusion. Then why is Arthur gone? Eleanor asked. Victor's expression changed. For the first time, he looked genuinely troubled. Because Arthur found the original files. Original files? The first version of the project. Where? Victor hesitated. Then. I don't know. Eleanor studied him. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to understand that I have been trying to find him. Why? Victor looked at the old folder. Because Arthur realized something before I did. What? That the corrections were no longer being controlled. A cold silence followed. Marcus frowned. You're saying someone else continued the project? Victor nodded. Yes. Who? Victor didn't answer. Because he didn't know. And that was more frightening than if he did. After leaving Victor's office, Eleanor and Marcus returned to the archive room. Neither spoke. The world outside continued normally. People walked through the library. Students studied. Researchers worked. Nobody knew what was happening beneath the surface. Or maybe they did. Maybe everyone knew something. Just not the same thing. Marcus broke the silence. You believe him? Eleanor looked at the Bellamy books. I don't know. That's new. What? You always know. She looked at him. Not anymore. The admission felt strange. She had built her entire career around certainty. Facts. Evidence. Verification. Now everything she trusted was unstable. Marcus opened his laptop. I found something else. She approached. What? He showed her a timeline. Every altered document. Every missing reference. Every replaced identity. He had mapped them. At first, it looked random. Then Eleanor noticed a pattern. The changes were not spread across history. They followed a direction. A chain. One correction led to another. Like someone pulling a thread through fabric. She traced the earliest documented alteration. Then the next. Then the next. Her eyes widened. They all connect. Marcus nodded. Exactly. To what? He zoomed in. The oldest correction. The first recorded change. A document from 40 years ago. A book catalog. Eleanor stared. Because the title was familiar. Regional Commercial Directory, 1895 edition. The same book Arthur sent her to find. The same book containing the disappearing references. The Bellamy book wasn't the beginning, she whispered. Marcus looked at her. It was the trail. They returned to sublevel 4. This time together. The old directory sat inside its protective box. Eleanor opened it carefully. The handwritten note was still there. The references disappear first. But now she saw something she missed before. The crossed-out citations. The 12 numbers. She turned to the final page. There was one more mark. Hidden beneath the binding. A tiny symbol. A circle divided by a line. Marcus examined it. Recognize it? No. Eleanor searched the library database. Nothing. Then she searched old employee records. Nothing. Until one result appeared. A scanned document. Created 23 years ago. Project title. Historical corrections. Status. Completed. She opened it. The first page contained a list of participants. Most names were missing. Removed. Deleted. But one remained. The final name. The person who approved completion. Eleanor felt the air leave her lungs. Because the signature at the bottom belonged to someone who should not have been involved. Someone who had supposedly never worked on the project. Someone whose identity had started disappearing. Arthur Finch. But beneath his signature was a handwritten note. Added years later. A warning. The first correction was not a mistake. Eleanor stared. Then Marcus noticed the date. His face changed. What? He pointed. The date was impossible. The project had officially started 23 years ago. But the note was written only 6 months earlier. Someone had returned to the file. Recently. Someone was continuing the work. And whoever it was, knew Eleanor would find it. Eleanor did not speak on the way back upstairs. Neither did Marcus. The discovery beneath the archive had changed the shape of the entire investigation. Before, they had been searching for the person responsible. Now they were searching for something far more disturbing. A process. A system. Something that had survived for decades. The old assumption had been simple. Someone was changing records. But what if the truth was worse? What if the changes were not being made by one person? What if the library itself had become part of the machine? Eleanor looked at the rows of shelves surrounding them. Thousands of books. Thousands of histories. Thousands of lives preserved in ink. Or altered by it. She had spent her entire career believing archives were shields against time. Now she wondered if they were also weapons. By morning, Marcus had created a complete timeline. Every known alteration. Every missing reference. Every replaced record. He projected the data onto the wall of the research room. Lines connected dates. Names connected events. The pattern was clearer now. The corrections did not happen randomly. They targeted foundations. The small facts that supported larger ones. Family histories. Property records. Academic achievements. Business ownership. Things people built their lives around. They're not changing history, Marcus said. Eleanor looked at him. They're changing consequences. Exactly. A single altered sentence in an old book could change a genealogy record. A genealogy record could affect inheritance. An inheritance could affect ownership. Ownership could affect companies. Companies affected thousands of people. The smallest change could travel for generations. Like a crack spreading through glass. The first real evidence came from an unexpected place. An email. Sent to Eleanor. No subject. No explanation. Just an attachment. A scanned family tree. At first she thought it was another warning. Another attempt to confuse them. Then she saw the name at the top. Bellamy. The family whose history had started everything. She opened the document. A genealogy chart. Thomas Bellamy. Children. Grandchildren. Great-grandchildren. Except the names changed depending on which line she followed. Some branches existed in one version. Not another. One person disappeared entirely. Another appeared with no record of birth. Eleanor enlarged the document. At the bottom was a note. Who owns the past owns the future. She felt a familiar unease. The phrase was not threatening. It was instructional. As if whoever wrote it believed they were stating a fact. Marcus looked over her shoulder. Where did this come from? No idea. Can you trace the sender? He checked. Nothing. No address. No metadata. The file had arrived without a source. Another impossible digital ghost. They decided to investigate the Bellamy family directly. Not through archives. Through living people. If records were unreliable, memory might offer another perspective. The current Bellamy family was small. Most descendants had moved away. Only one remained in the city. Eleanor found him through a public directory. James Bellamy. A retired architect. Age 72. She expected resistance. Instead, he invited them in immediately. His house was filled with photographs, paintings, family objects. A lifetime of memories. James Bellamy studied Eleanor carefully. "You've been looking into my family." It wasn't a question. Eleanor nodded. "How did you know?" The old man smiled sadly. "Because people only search for Bellamys when something is wrong." That answer unsettled her. "What do you mean?" James walked toward a cabinet. He removed an old photograph. "This belonged to my father." The picture showed a group of men standing outside a shipyard. A younger Thomas Bellamy. A worker. A businessman, the caption on the back read. Bellamy Maritime Company, 1912. Eleanor stared. Shipbuilder. The original version. "Your father kept this?" James nodded. "My family always believed Thomas built ships." "Always?" "Yes." She exchanged a glance with Marcus. "But official records say he was a banker." James laughed quietly. "Official records have been wrong before. Did your family ever challenge them?" The smile disappeared. "Once." "When?" 10 years ago." "What happened?" James looked toward the window. "They told us we were mistaken." A pause. "They showed us documents." "Documents saying your family memory was wrong?" "Exactly." Eleanor felt a chill. Because that was the perfect strategy. Not destroying the truth. Replacing it with something believable. James continued. "After that, my sister stopped talking about it." "Why?" "Because her own children started asking questions." "What kind of questions?" He looked at Eleanor. Questions about whether their grandfather had lied. The answer hurt more than she expected. Because the corrections weren't just changing paper. They were changing relationships. Families. Trust. Before leaving, James gave Eleanor a small box. "My father wanted someone to have this eventually." Inside was an old notebook. The cover was damaged. The pages were yellow. Eleanor opened it. The handwriting immediately caught her attention. Thomas Bellamy. The first pages contained normal notes. Shipping routes. Business expenses. Daily thoughts. Then the final entries changed. The last few pages were written in panic. Eleanor read. "Someone keeps asking questions about the records." Another page. "They don't want the truth. They want the version that survives." Her fingers tightened around the notebook. Then she reached the final entry. The handwriting was rushed. Uneven. Almost impossible to read. "If they correct my name, remember this. I was never a banker. I built ships." Below the sentence was a date. 1914. 2 years before Thomas Bellamy supposedly abandoned the shipping business. Eleanor closed the notebook. Another contradiction. Another person whose identity had been altered. Back at the library, Marcus continued analyzing the records. Hours later, he called her. "Eleanor." She heard something in his voice. "What happened?" "I found a connection." She walked quickly to his office. His screen showed dozens of names. Different people. Different centuries. But all connected. Families. Researchers. Authors. Business owners. Every person affected by the corrections had one thing in common. They all challenged a record, Marcus said. Eleanor stared. "What?" They didn't randomly alter people. He pointed at the screen. Every correction happened after someone questioned an official version of history. The realization was horrifying. The system was not preserving history. It was protecting itself. Anyone who challenged the accepted record became a problem. And problems were corrected. Late that evening, Eleanor returned to her office. She needed to organize her thoughts. Instead, she found something waiting on her desk. A folder. No name. No label. She opened it. Inside were documents. Her own documents. Birth records. School records. Employment history. Every major event of her life. She felt her heartbeat slow. Why would someone give her this? Then she saw the first page. A birth certificate. The name was correct. The date was correct. Everything seemed normal. Until she noticed the mother's name. Her mother's name. It was different. Eleanor stared. Impossible, she knew her mother. She knew her family. She knew her own life. She searched the next document. Same change. Then another. Same. Someone had altered her records. Not the library's. Hers. The room became silent. For the first time, the mystery stopped being about other people. It was about her. Her identity. Her life. Her past. Her hands trembled as she opened the final page. A handwritten note waited inside. The handwriting was familiar. Arthur Finch. Only one sentence. Now you understand what happened to me. Eleanor remained seated long after she finished reading the note. Now you understand what happened to me. Arthur Finch's words sat on the page like a confession. Or a warning. She read them again. Then again. The handwriting was unmistakable. The same careful letters. The same slight pressure marks from the pen. The same habit of leaving too much space between certain words. Arthur had written this. But when? And how? The question disturbed her more than anything else. Because if Arthur had known her records would be altered. If he had prepared this for her. Then he had expected this moment. He knew someone would come after her. He knew they would try to erase her. Eleanor looked at the documents spread across her desk. Her entire life reduced to paper. A collection of official statements saying who she was. But what if some of those statements were wrong? What if identity was not something you possessed? What if it was something recorded? And what happened when the record changed? Marcus found her an hour later. He stopped in the doorway. One look at her expression told him something had happened. What did they do? Eleanor didn't answer immediately. She pushed the documents toward him. Marcus picked up the first page. His face changed. Then he read another. And another. Finally he looked up. Eleanor. I know. This can't be real. That's exactly what I thought. Marcus lowered the papers. Did you check the originals? She looked at him. What originals? Physical records. Not digital copies. The sentence reminded her of something. The Bellamy books. The old directory. The original sources. The places where corrections were harder to hide. She stood. You're right. Marcus followed. Where are we going? To find out who I was before someone corrected me. The oldest personal archives were kept in a restricted section beneath the library. Not because they were dangerous. Because they were fragile. Birth records. Private correspondence. Family collections. Documents donated by people who wanted their lives preserved. Eleanor had spent years working there. She knew every shelf. Every box. Every storage system. That knowledge suddenly felt different. She wasn't entering a collection. She was entering her own history. The box she needed was listed under her family name. She found it quickly. Too quickly. That bothered her. Someone had not removed it. Not yet. Inside were old letters. Photographs. Certificates. A childhood diary. Things she recognized. Things she remembered. For several minutes, relief returned. Maybe she had panicked. Maybe the documents upstairs were manipulated. Maybe her real history was still here. Then she found the photograph. A family picture. She was 6 years old. Standing between her parents. The image looked normal. Until she noticed something. A person had been cut out. Not torn. Not damaged. Carefully removed. A section of the photograph had been covered. Eleanor examined the back. A date. A location. And 3 names. Her parents. And someone else. A third name she did not recognize. Nathan Voss. Her hand froze. Her father. She knew that name. But the family stories never mentioned another Voss. Never. Marcus noticed. Who is Nathan? Eleanor couldn't answer. Because she didn't know. And that frightened her. They searched everything. Every letter. Every photograph. Every document. The name appeared only twice. Nathan Voss. Her father's brother. Her uncle. A person who, according to official records, had never existed. Yet there were photographs. Letters. References. A whole life hidden inside her family's archive. A life removed. Why would someone erase your uncle? Marcus asked. Eleanor shook her head. I don't know. Then she noticed something. A letter. Addressed to her father. The envelope was old. The handwriting was unfamiliar. She opened it carefully. Inside. Robert. You cannot keep pretending this didn't happen. The records will eventually change, but memories are harder to control. If they come for Nathan, protect Eleanor. She is the only person who still has a connection to the original archive. The letter was unsigned. But the meaning was clear. Her family had been involved long before she discovered the books. A sound interrupted them. A door closing somewhere nearby. Both turned. The archive corridor was empty. Did you hear that? Marcus nodded. He moved toward the exit. Eleanor, stay here. She almost argued. Then stopped. Because something about his voice made her listen. Marcus stepped into the hallway. Seconds passed. Then. Nothing. Eleanor released a breath. But when he returned, his expression had changed. What? He held up a small object. A library access card. Old. Damaged. He had found it on the floor outside. Eleanor took it. The name was faded. But still readable. Arthur Finch. The card belonged to him. The date stamped on the back made her blood run cold. It had been used yesterday. After Arthur disappeared, they followed the access trail. The card had opened a door deep in the basement. A room Eleanor had never seen. Which should have been impossible. The library's blueprints showed no room there. Marcus examined the lock. Hidden section. How? Old buildings change. He forced the door open. Inside was a small storage room. Not ancient. Not abandoned. Maintained. Someone had been using it. A single desk sat in the center. On it. Files. Hundreds of them. All labeled with names. Eleanor recognized several. Daniel Whitmore. Thomas Bellamy. Clara Whitmore, Arthur Finch. People connected to the corrections. She opened the first file. Inside were copies of old records. Original versions. Before corrections. Evidence. The room was not where information was destroyed. It was where information was preserved. The real history. Hidden. Protected. Then she found the largest file. The label made her stop. Her own name. Eleanor Voss. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was everything. Her birth records. School documents. Family history. And one page at the very top. A handwritten note. Not Arthur's. Someone else's. The message said. Correction status, incomplete. Eleanor stared. Incomplete. Meaning they had tried. But failed. Marcus looked over her shoulder. What does that mean? She turned the page. A second line appeared beneath it. Added recently. Subject remains resistant due to preserved memory sources. Eleanor felt cold. Preserved memory sources. Then she understood. The reason she was difficult to erase. The reason Arthur trusted her. The reason she noticed the changes. She wasn't special. She was protected. By something. Or someone. A noise came from the hallway. Footsteps. Slow. Approaching. Someone knew they were there. Marcus shut the file. Someone's coming. They turned toward the door. The footsteps stopped outside. A shadow appeared beneath the gap. Neither moved. Then a voice spoke. Calm. Familiar. Eleanor. Her blood went cold. Because she recognized it. Victor Wren. Open the door. A pause. Then. I need to show you what Arthur found. The handle slowly began to turn. The handle turned once. Then stopped. Silence settled over the hidden room. Marcus looked at Eleanor. Neither moved. Outside, Victor Wren waited. Calmly. Patiently. As though he knew they had nowhere else to go. Eleanor, he said again through the door. If I wanted those files destroyed, they would already be gone. The statement irritated her because it sounded true. Marcus stepped closer. How do we know it's actually him? Victor answered before Eleanor could. Because Marcus already checked the security feed. Marcus froze. Eleanor looked at him. Slowly, Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. The security camera outside the corridor was still active. Victor stood alone. No guards. No staff. No backup. Just Victor. Waiting. Marcus exhaled. Then unlocked the door. Victor entered. His eyes immediately moved to the files spread across the desk. For a moment, something passed across his face. Relief. Not surprise. Not fear. Relief. You found it, he said quietly. The original archive, Eleanor replied. Victor nodded. Arthur called it the insurance policy. Eleanor folded her arms. You knew this room existed. Yes. You never mentioned it. No. Why? Victor looked around at the shelves. Because the wrong people were looking for it. The answer only created more questions. Who are the wrong people? Victor didn't respond immediately. Instead, he picked up Eleanor's file. The one marked. Correction status, incomplete. He stared at it for several seconds. Then returned it to the desk. They started with records, he said softly. Who? The people who inherited the project. Again that word. Inherited. Not created. Not founded. Inherited. Meaning the people currently operating the system weren't the original architects. They were successors. Caretakers. Maybe something worse. Eleanor stepped closer. You keep talking around the truth. Victor met her gaze. Because the truth sounds ridiculous. Try me. For the first time since she had known him, Victor Wren looked genuinely uncertain. Then he spoke. The people controlling the corrections don't know they're controlling them. The room went silent. Marcus frowned. What does that even mean? Victor turned toward him. It means nobody took over the system. What? The system took over itself. An hour later, they sat around a small desk in the hidden archive. Victor explained everything he knew. 23 years earlier, the Historical Corrections Project had begun with a simple purpose. Researchers compared conflicting sources. Archivists identified inaccuracies. Historians debated evidence. Normal academic work. Nothing sinister. Then came the second phase. Standardization. The participating institutions wanted consistency. If one archive listed a date incorrectly, it would be corrected. If a biography contained an error, it would be updated. If two sources disagreed, one version would eventually become official. At first, the process improved accuracy. Then the network expanded. Libraries joined. Universities joined. Publishers joined. Genealogy databases joined. Historical foundations joined. Thousands of organizations slowly connected their records. A correction made in one place spread everywhere else. And because every institution trusted the others, nobody questioned the changes. The network became self-validating. A closed loop. A machine that reinforced its own conclusions. That's impossible, Marcus said. Victor shook his head. No. It's common. He pointed toward the shelves. Most people assume history survives because it's true. A pause. It survives because enough systems agree it's true. Eleanor hated how much sense that made. Because she had seen it herself. Every investigation eventually led to the same sources. The same databases. The same authorities. If those authorities changed something, the change multiplied. Like an infection. So where does Arthur fit into this? Eleanor asked. Victor's expression darkened. Arthur found the first pattern. The phrase immediately caught her attention. The first pattern. Not the first correction. The first pattern. What pattern? Victor opened one of the old files. Inside were records dating back 40 years. Dozens of corrections. Different people. Different places. Different institutions. At first glance, the changes appeared random. Then Eleanor noticed it. Every correction benefited someone. Not always financially. Not always politically. But always strategically. One historian received credit for another's work. One family gained inheritance rights. One company strengthened ownership claims. One researcher became the accepted authority. Every correction produced a winner. And usually a loser. Marcus stared at the documents. These aren't mistakes. No, Victor said. They never were. The discovery led Eleanor to a disturbing realization. Someone designed this. Victor nodded. Eventually. The original project may have been honest. But someone recognized its potential. Someone understood that controlling historical records meant controlling modern outcomes. Property. Careers. Reputations. Legacies. Everything. The corrections were not preserving truth. They were redistributing influence. The room felt smaller. More dangerous. Because now the mystery had shape. Intent. Purpose. But one question remained. Who saw the opportunity first? Victor looked toward Marcus. Unexpectedly. A long silence followed. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. What? Victor didn't answer. Instead, he opened another file. This one older than the others. The cover contained a name. Marcus froze. His face drained of color. Eleanor looked at the file. Then back at him. Marcus? He didn't answer. Victor pushed the file across the table. Slowly. Deliberately. The name on the cover read. Elias Hale. Marcus stared at it. As though seeing a ghost. Who is that? Eleanor asked. She already suspected the answer. Marcus swallowed. My grandfather. Silence. Heavy silence. Victor nodded. Elias Hale designed the synchronization framework. Eleanor looked between them. What framework? The system that allowed corrections to spread. The words landed like a physical blow. Marcus sat down. Slowly. As though his legs suddenly felt weak. No. Victor's voice remained calm. He didn't create the project. No. He didn't invent the corrections. No. But he built the architecture that connected everything. Marcus looked away. His hands trembled. Eleanor had never seen him like this. Marcus. He laughed softly. A humorless sound. There were stories. What stories? My grandfather worked with historical databases before anyone else. His voice sounded distant. Like he was remembering something buried. He always said information behaves like water. Victor nodded. He said once a pathway exists, information will follow it. Marcus closed his eyes. He used to repeat that. Eleanor felt the pieces shifting. Aligning. Creating a larger picture. What aren't you telling me? Marcus hesitated. Then opened the file. Inside were handwritten notes. Research papers. Design sketches. And one notebook. Old. Worn. Used heavily. The first page contained a title. Correction Protocol. The room fell silent. Eleanor stared. There it was. The phrase. The name hidden behind everything. Not Historical Corrections Project. Not Correction Review Committee. The Correction Protocol. The true system. The true design. Marcus turned another page. Then another. His expression changed with every line. Fear. Disbelief. Recognition. Finally he stopped. What is it? Eleanor asked. Marcus looked up. His voice was barely audible. My grandfather knew this would happen. The sentence seemed to drain the air from the room. Victor didn't look surprised. Which meant he already knew. Marcus continued reading. The protocol wasn't designed to preserve truth. He swallowed. It was designed to decide which truth survives. Nobody spoke. Because nobody needed to. The distinction changed everything. Preserving truth was passive. Deciding which truth survives was power. Pure power. Marcus turned to the final page. A handwritten note covered most of it. A warning. Written decades earlier. Elias Hale's final entry. Marcus read it aloud. The danger is not that someone will control the system. His voice shook. The danger is that eventually nobody will. Silence. Then Eleanor noticed something. A second note. Added recently. Different handwriting. Not Elias Hale. Not Arthur Finch. Someone else. Only 6 words. Written in dark blue ink. Arthur found the catalog first. Eleanor felt a chill crawl down her spine. She looked at Victor. What catalog? Victor's face hardened. The expression of a man who had hoped never to answer that question. Slowly, he said. The master catalog. And for the first time since the investigation began. Victor Wren looked afraid. For several seconds, nobody spoke. The words lingered in the air. The master catalog. Eleanor had spent weeks uncovering hidden records, missing references, altered histories, and erased identities. Yet somehow this sounded different. More important. As if every road they had followed led toward a single destination. Victor Wren sat heavily in a chair. For the first time since this began, he looked his age. Not the confident director who commanded one of the world's most respected historical institutions. Not the careful administrator who always seemed in control. Just a tired man carrying secrets for too long. Eleanor broke the silence. What is it? Victor looked at her. The thing Arthur spent 20 years searching for. That's not an answer. No. His voice was quiet. It's the only answer I have. Marcus opened his grandfather's notebook again. The pages were filled with diagrams. Network structures. Institutional relationships. Information flows. At first glance, they resembled technical planning documents. Then Eleanor noticed something unusual. The diagrams did not connect computers. They connected authority. Libraries. Universities. Publishers. Historical societies. Archives. Genealogical organizations. Government registries. Every institution responsible for preserving public memory. Marcus pointed at a page. This wasn't designed as a database. What was it? A hierarchy. He traced the lines. Information moved upward. Then another set. Corrections moved downward. Eleanor stared. The structure resembled a nervous system. Countless smaller branches feeding information toward a central point. A central authority. A place where competing versions of history were evaluated. Compared. Accepted. Or rejected. The catalog, she whispered. Marcus nodded. The master catalog. Victor leaned forward. When the Historical Corrections Project began, every institution kept its own records. He paused. That created problems. Conflicting sources? Eleanor asked. Exactly. One archive listed a birth date. Another listed a different one. One newspaper identified an author. Another credited someone else. One university preserved one version of an event. Another preserved a different version. Researchers constantly argued. Corrections were slow. Messy. Inconsistent. The solution seemed obvious. Create a central reference. A trusted source. A place where disputes could be resolved. The idea sounded reasonable. Even noble. Eleanor hated how reasonable it sounded. Because history is complicated. Conflicting records create confusion. People naturally seek certainty. The master catalog promised certainty. And people accepted it. Victor stood and walked toward a shelf. He removed a thick binder. The pages inside contained internal memoranda from decades earlier. Meeting notes. Project proposals. Policy drafts. Evidence of the protocol's evolution. One document immediately caught Eleanor's attention. A memorandum written 18 years ago. The title: Authority Through Consistency. Her stomach tightened. She read. The proposal argued that public trust increased when institutions presented a unified historical narrative. Conflicting records reduced confidence. Confusion weakened authority. Consistency created stability. The language was professional, reasonable, even persuasive. Yet the implication was chilling. Truth was becoming secondary. The appearance of certainty mattered more. Eleanor closed the binder. Who approved this? Victor hesitated. Then answered. Almost everyone. The room became silent. Because that was the first truly terrifying thing she had heard. Not corruption. Consensus. Not a villain. Agreement. Thousands of intelligent people making small decisions that collectively created something dangerous. Marcus continued reading his grandfather's notebook. The deeper he went, the more unsettled he became. Look at this. He turned the notebook toward them. One page contained a prediction. Written nearly 30 years earlier. Elias Hale had outlined potential long-term consequences. The list was disturbingly accurate. Historical authority becoming centralized. Increasing dependence on accepted sources. Difficulty challenging established narratives. Identity disputes tied to archival records. Inheritance conflicts. Academic monopolies. Everything they had already encountered. The final prediction was circled 3 times. Self-reinforcing correction cycles. What does that mean? Eleanor asked. Marcus looked grim. It means corrections begin generating more corrections. Victor nodded slowly. That's exactly what happened. A correction altered a record. The altered record became evidence. The evidence justified future corrections. Those corrections generated new evidence. The cycle repeated. Year after year. Decade after decade. Eventually nobody remembered the original version. Only the accepted one. Eleanor suddenly understood something. Arthur. Victor looked at her. He wasn't looking for a person. No. He was looking for the source. Victor nodded. The master catalog. The realization changed everything. Arthur had not spent years chasing individual corrections. He had been tracing them backward. Following the chain. Searching for the place where decisions became reality. And according to the note they found, he had succeeded. Arthur found the catalog first. The question was obvious. What happened after he found it? Victor's expression darkened. I don't know. You expect us to believe that? I wish I didn't. The answer felt genuine. Which somehow made it worse. As evening approached, Marcus discovered something hidden inside the notebook. Several pages had been glued together. Carefully. Intentionally. It took nearly 20 minutes to separate them without causing damage. When they finally succeeded, a folded document slipped free. Old paper. Typed text. Handwritten annotations. The heading read, Correction Protocol, Restricted Distribution. The room went silent. This wasn't a proposal. This wasn't a theory. This was the protocol itself. The operational rules. The document contained 12 directives. Most were technical. Verification standards. Cross-institutional review procedures. Authority rankings. Source weighting. Then Eleanor reached Directive 7. Her blood ran cold. When conflicts cannot be resolved, preference shall be given to the version producing maximum institutional consistency. She read it twice. Then a third time. The words sounded harmless. Until their meaning became clear. Not the most accurate version. Not the most documented version. The most consistent version. The version easiest to maintain. The version least disruptive. History chosen for convenience. Not truth. A sudden realization struck Eleanor. She opened one of the Bellamy files. Then another. Then another. The pattern emerged immediately. Every correction followed the same logic. Not necessarily the true version. The stable version. The manageable version. The version institutions could collectively support. Thomas Bellamy became a banker because the records were cleaner. Daniel Whitmore lost authorship because another attribution created fewer conflicts. Arthur Finch disappeared because his existence complicated the accepted narrative. The corrections were not random. They were optimization. Human lives reduced to administrative efficiency. Eleanor felt sick. Because the system wasn't malicious. It was indifferent. And indifference was harder to fight. The discovery led them to one final document. A list of review authorities. The people responsible for overseeing the protocol. Names had been removed. Most entries were redacted. Only one remained visible. The final surviving signature. The last person known to have officially reviewed the protocol. Eleanor stared at it. Victor saw her expression. What is it? She slowly turned the page toward him. The signature belonged to someone all three of them recognized. Not Arthur Finch. Not Elias Hale. Not Victor Wren. The name was Clara Whitmore. The same Clara Whitmore from the photograph. The same Clara Whitmore connected to Daniel Whitmore. The same Clara Whitmore who vanished from the records. Marcus frowned. She disappeared 20 years ago. Victor nodded. Officially. Eleanor looked up sharply. What does that mean? Victor hesitated. Then spoke. Officially, Clara Whitmore died in a car accident. A pause. Unofficially, nobody ever found a body. The room fell silent. Eleanor stared at the signature. Fresh questions flooded her mind. Why had Clara disappeared? What had she discovered? Why was she the final reviewer? And most importantly, if Clara never died, where had she gone? Then Marcus noticed something written beneath the signature. A handwritten note. Tiny. Almost invisible. Added years later. 6 words. The catalog is not the source. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Because if the master catalog wasn't the source, then the true origin of the corrections was still hidden. Somewhere beyond it. And Arthur Finch had already found it. The note changed everything. The catalog is not the source. Eleanor stared at the 6 words for so long that the letters began to blur. For weeks, every clue had pointed toward the master catalog. The corrections. The erased identities. The altered histories. The missing references. Everything seemed connected to it. Yet Clara Whitmore's final message suggested they had been looking at the wrong target. Or at least an incomplete one. The master catalog wasn't creating the corrections. It was implementing them. A difference that sounded small. A difference that changed. Rain fell steadily outside the library. The building had grown quiet. Most employees had gone home hours earlier. Only a few lights remained visible across the vast structure. Eleanor sat at the table surrounded by files. Victor remained across from her. For the first time, she realized how exhausted he looked. Not physically. Emotionally. Like a man carrying a burden that had become too heavy years ago. Tell me about Clara Whitmore. Victor was silent for several moments. Then he nodded. She was smarter than all of us. The answer surprised her. Victor rarely praised anyone. Certainly not like that. She was a historian. Historian. Archivist. Research analyst. A faint smile appeared. She could identify a forged document faster than most experts could identify a genuine one. What happened to her? Victor looked toward the shelves. She stopped believing the project. Why? Because she noticed something nobody else noticed. Eleanor leaned forward. What? Victor's expression darkened. The corrections always moved in the same direction. The room fell silent. Marcus looked up. What does that mean? Victor opened a folder. Inside were examples spanning decades. At first the changes seemed unrelated. Different people. Different institutions. Different time periods. Then Eleanor noticed it. Every correction simplified something. Complicated family histories became cleaner. Disputed authorship became certain. Messy ownership records became straightforward. Contradictory evidence disappeared. Ambiguity vanished. History became easier to manage. Easier to understand. Easier to control. Clara had recognized the pattern. And once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it. She believed someone was steering the process, Victor said. Who? She never found out. The answer frustrated Eleanor. What did she do? She started investigating. That sounded familiar. Too familiar. Victor looked directly at her. The same way you did. A cold feeling settled inside Eleanor. Following records. Finding inconsistencies. Tracing corrections. Discovering hidden connections. The path Clara followed was nearly identical to hers. And Clara had disappeared. Not encouraging Marcus returned to Elias Hale's notebook. He had been unusually quiet ever since learning about his grandfather. Eleanor noticed. Marcus. He looked up. You okay? He forced a smile. Not really. She understood. Every discovery seemed to make the mystery more personal. Arthur. Clara. Now Elias Hale. The investigation was no longer about history. It was about people connected to them. People being pulled into the center. Marcus closed the notebook. My grandfather left something else. Victor frowned. What? Marcus turned several pages. Near the back was a list. Names. Dates. Locations. Dozens of entries. Most meant nothing. Until one stood out. Clara Whitmore, meeting requested. Date. 19 years ago. Location. Not a city. Not a building. Not an institution. A room number. Inside the library. Sublevel 6. Everyone stared. Victor broke the silence first. There is no sublevel 6. Marcus showed him the page. Apparently there is. The blueprints disagreed. Officially, the library contained 5 underground levels. Maintenance records confirmed it. Architectural plans confirmed it. Every document confirmed it. Yet old construction files revealed something strange. The original building design included 6. Not 5. 6. At some point, the lowest level disappeared from the plans. Not physically. Administratively. The space existed. The records changed. Eleanor exchanged a look with Marcus. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Even the library itself had been corrected. Finding the entrance took 3 hours. It was hidden behind movable shelving in an unused preservation wing. The access point was old. Older than modern security systems. Older than digital records. A narrow concrete staircase descended into darkness. Nobody spoke. The air felt different. Still. Heavy. As if the space had been sealed for years. Victor carried a flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness ahead. Dust drifted through the light. The staircase continued downward. Farther than expected. Eventually they reached a steel door. No markings. No labels. Nothing. Just a lock. Marcus examined it. Not electronic. Can you open it? Probably. 5 minutes later, the lock clicked. The sound echoed through the silence. Then the door slowly opened. The room beyond wasn't what Eleanor expected. No computers. No secret control center. No hidden archive. Instead, it resembled a conference room. A large table. Several chairs. Shelves filled with binders. A place designed for meetings. Nothing more. At first glance, it appeared ordinary. Then Eleanor saw the wall. An entire wall covered with photographs. Hundreds of them. People. Families. Researchers. Authors. Archivists. Business owners. Every face connected to the corrections. Some she recognized immediately. Thomas Bellamy. Daniel Whitmore. Arthur Finch. Clara Whitmore. Others were strangers. Yet all of them shared one thing. Red lines connected the photographs. Like a giant map. A network. A pattern. Marcus stepped closer. My God. Eleanor understood why. The photographs weren't organized by profession. Or date. Or location. They were organized by influence. Each person had challenged an accepted record. Each person had questioned the system. Each person became a target. Not for violence. For correction. The realization made her feel ill. Because it proved intent. Someone had been tracking them. For decades, then Victor found something on the table. A folder. Unlike the others, it appeared recent. Very recent. He opened it. Inside was a list of names. Current names. Living people. Active researchers. Historians. Archivists. People asking questions. People investigating inconsistencies. People approaching the truth. Eleanor's name was there. Marcus's too. And at the top of the list. Arthur Finch. Across his name was a handwritten note. Removed. The word sent a chill through the room. Eleanor turned pages. More names. More notes. Most carried status labels. Observed. Monitored. Review pending. Then she found her own entry. Her stomach tightened. Next to her name was a date. Tomorrow's date. And beneath it. Correction review scheduled. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. Because the meaning was obvious. The system wasn't waiting anymore. It had moved to the next stage. And somehow, Eleanor was the next person being reviewed. As Victor continued searching the room, he discovered something else. A sealed envelope. Addressed in neat handwriting. One name. Victor Wren. The room became silent. Slowly, Victor opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A message. Short. Direct. Personal. Victor read it once. Then again. The color drained from his face. Eleanor stepped forward. What is it? Victor handed her the paper. She read. You were never meant to stop the protocol. A pause. Then the final line. You were meant to inherit it. Eleanor looked up. Victor stood motionless. As if the words had struck him physically. Because for the first time since this began, a possibility emerged that neither of them wanted to consider. Victor Wren might not simply be connected to the system. He might be the person it had chosen next. And somewhere inside the hidden room, a telephone suddenly began to ring. The telephone rang again. The sound sliced through the silence. Once. Twice. 3 times. Nobody moved. The hidden room felt frozen in time. Dust hung motionless in the flashlight beams. The photographs on the wall seemed to watch them. And in the middle of it all, an old black telephone continued ringing. Eleanor stared at it. The machine looked decades old. No visible power source. No active phone line. Nothing that should have allowed it to function. Yet it rang. Patiently. Waiting. Victor Wren was the first to move. Don't answer it. Marcus looked at him. What? Victor's voice was sharp. Don't answer it. The urgency surprised everyone. Eleanor had never heard him sound afraid before. The phone rang again. Then stopped. Silence returned. For one brief second, Eleanor thought it was over. Then a red light blinked beside the telephone. A voicemail indicator. A machine that supposedly wasn't connected to anything now contained a message. Marcus stared. This is insane. No, Victor said quietly. It's exactly what I was afraid of. The recording lasted 23 seconds. Eleanor played it twice. Then a third time. The voice was distorted. Genderless. Calm. Professional. The kind of voice people trusted without realizing why. The message contained only one sentence. Review session confirmed. Subject Eleanor Voss. Final determination pending. Then the recording ended. No threat. No explanation. Nothing. That somehow made it worse. Because whoever left the message wasn't trying to scare her. They were conducting a procedure. Like an administrative task. Like renewing a license. Updating a file. Approving a request. The impersonality chilled her. To them, she wasn't a person. She was a record. Marcus began searching the room systematically. Every drawer. Every cabinet. Every shelf. The hidden conference room contained decades of documentation. Meeting notes. Research summaries. Internal correspondence. Evidence of something enormous. Something carefully concealed. Eleanor focused on the photographs. The wall wasn't random. The connections mattered. Red lines linked individuals across generations. A historian connected to a publisher. A publisher connected to a foundation. A foundation connected to an archive. The network stretched everywhere. Then she noticed something strange. Most photographs contained names. Some didn't. Several faces lacked labels entirely. One photograph in particular stood out. A woman. Mid-50s. Dark coat. Standing outside a university building. No name. No identifying information. Yet dozens of red lines connected to her. More than anyone else on the wall. Even more than Arthur Finch. Even more than Clara Whitmore. Eleanor removed the photograph. On the back was a handwritten note. Coordinator. Nothing else. No date. No identity. Just one word. Coordinator. The discovery unsettled her. For months, she had searched for a mastermind. A leader. Someone pulling strings. Yet every major clue suggested the opposite. The protocol functioned through committees. Reviews. Processes. Consensus. No single person appeared responsible. Then who was the coordinator? Marcus suddenly called out from across the room. Eleanor. His voice sounded different. Tense. She hurried over. He had discovered a locked filing cabinet hidden behind a shelf. The lock had already been broken. Recently. Someone had opened it before them. Inside were dozens of binders. Each labeled with a year. 1987. 1988. 1989. And so on. Annual review records. The operational history of the protocol. Victor opened one. Then another. The pattern emerged almost immediately. Every year, a review board met. Every year, corrections were approved. Every year, historical disputes were resolved. Nothing surprising. Until Eleanor reached the attendance lists. Her pulse quickened. The names changed constantly. Different historians. Different archivists. Different institutions. No permanent members. No central leadership. No hidden ruling council. The board effectively reinvented itself every year. A rotating structure. Temporary. Decentralized. Invisible. Marcus looked up. There isn't a conspiracy. Victor nodded grimly. There never was. The realization hit Eleanor harder than she expected. A conspiracy can be exposed. A leader can be removed. A system spread across hundreds of institutions was something else entirely. Something much harder to stop. Then she found Clara Whitmore. Not her photograph. Her final report. The document was dated 19 years earlier. Marked. Confidential. Eleanor began reading. The report described Clara's investigation. Page after page. Evidence. Patterns. Warnings. Conclusions. Everything Eleanor had been discovering. Only Clara reached those conclusions decades ago. The final section made Eleanor's heart race. The protocol no longer requires intentional manipulation. She continued reading. Participants believe they are improving accuracy. Participants believe they are resolving conflicts. Participants believe they are preserving truth. A pause. Then. The danger comes from the structure itself. Eleanor slowly lowered the report. Clara had understood before anyone else. The protocol didn't need villains. Ordinary people maintained it. Good people. Responsible people. Experts trying to improve records. Each individual decision seemed reasonable. Together, those decisions created something dangerous. A machine that quietly decided which version of reality would survive. Near midnight, they discovered the most alarming document yet. A current review schedule. This year's active cases. Most entries contained anonymous identification numbers. Case 18. Case 27. Case 42. Then Eleanor found her own. Case 73. Status. Priority review. Review date. Tomorrow. Recommended outcome. Pending. Attached evidence. 86 documents. 11 witness statements. Institutional risk assessment. Marcus stared. Witness statements. What witnesses? Victor looked equally confused. The file shouldn't exist. Not yet. The review hadn't happened. And yet someone had already assembled evidence. Against her. Eleanor opened the attachment list. Her breathing stopped. The witnesses were people she knew. Colleagues. Researchers. Friends. People she trusted. People who had unknowingly contributed information. Casual conversations. Work evaluations. Internal reports. Normal interactions. Collected. Catalogued. Analyzed. Without their knowledge. Without hers. The protocol had been studying her for months. Maybe years. Then came the moment that changed everything. Marcus discovered a sealed folder hidden beneath the cabinet. Unlike everything else, this folder carried no official markings. No dates. No case number. No classification. Only one handwritten title. Emergency Authority Transfer. Victor took it. Opened it. Read the first page. Then went pale. "What is it?" Eleanor asked. Victor didn't answer immediately. His hands trembled. Finally, he looked up. "The board knows." A knot formed in Eleanor's stomach. "Knows what?" "That Arthur found the master catalog." Silence. Victor continued. "They've initiated succession procedures." "Meaning?" Victor swallowed. "The protocol assumes Arthur is permanently removed." The phrase felt deliberate. Not dead. Removed. Exactly the same language used throughout the system. Eleanor suddenly remembered Arthur's file. Arthur Finch, removed. Not deceased. Not missing. Removed. A status. Not an event. Then Victor turned another page. His expression changed completely. Shock. Pure shock. "What?" Victor slowly handed the document to Eleanor. A single name appeared under the succession order. The individual selected to inherit Arthur Finch's responsibilities. The next designated investigator. The next guardian of the protocol. The next person expected to maintain the system. Eleanor read the name. Then read it again. Because it didn't belong to Victor. It didn't belong to Marcus. It belonged to her. Eleanor Voss. At the bottom of the page, someone had added a handwritten note. Fresh ink. Recent. Only 4 words. Arthur chose her first. The room fell silent. Because suddenly the entire investigation looked different. Maybe Arthur hadn't been warning Eleanor. Maybe he had been preparing her. And if that was true, then Arthur Finch had known exactly where this was going long before any of them. Outside the hidden room, somewhere deep within the library, a steel door slammed shut. And for the first time all night, Victor Wren looked genuinely terrified. The sound of the slamming door echoed through the hidden level. Then silence. Not normal silence. The kind that makes every person in the room listen harder. Marcus immediately grabbed a flashlight. That wasn't upstairs. Victor nodded. It came from this level. Eleanor's pulse quickened. Someone else was here. Not years ago. Not decades ago. Now. The realization changed the atmosphere instantly. Until this moment, they had been investigating ghosts of decisions made long ago. Old reports. Old corrections. Old disappearances. Now the mystery was alive. Moving. Watching. The 3 of them left the conference room. The corridor beyond stretched into darkness. Concrete walls. Low ceiling. No windows. No signs. The hidden level was much larger than the blueprints suggested. Far larger. Victor swept his flashlight across the passage. More doors appeared. Storage rooms. Offices. Archive chambers. Entire sections of the building officially didn't exist. Eleanor felt a strange sensation. She had worked in this library for 11 years. Yet she suddenly felt like a stranger inside it. Then Marcus stopped. Look. Dust covered most of the floor. Except for one section. Fresh footprints. Recent. Someone had walked through here. Within hours. Maybe minutes. The tracks disappeared around a corner. Eleanor followed them. Her heartbeat growing faster with every step. The corridor ended at a small office. The door stood open. Inside, a desk lamp was still glowing. Someone had been here. Recently. Very recently. A cup of coffee sat beside an open file. The coffee was still warm. Nobody spoke. Because they all understood what that meant. They had missed someone by minutes. Eleanor approached the desk. The open file contained photographs. Dozens of them. Not historical figures. Not researchers. Not archivists. Ordinary people. Teachers. Lawyers. Accountants. Students. Families. Children. People who seemed completely unrelated. Marcus frowned. What are these? Eleanor turned over one photograph. A name was written on the back. Then a second. Then a third. Every person had something in common. Their identities had been altered by corrections decades earlier. Not directly. Indirectly. An inheritance changed. A family connection erased. An authorship dispute resolved differently. Tiny historical adjustments. Modern consequences. Suddenly Eleanor understood. The corrections weren't affecting history. They were affecting the present. Thousands of lives. Maybe millions. The protocol wasn't preserving records. It was continuously reshaping reality through administrative decisions. And most people never knew it happened. Then she saw something else. A folder marked Eleanor Voss. Another one. Different from the file in the hidden archive. This one was current. Active. She opened it. The first page made her blood run cold. The review wasn't scheduled for tomorrow. It had already happened. Date. 3 weeks earlier. Status. Completed. Eleanor stared. Impossible. She had never attended any review. Never answered questions. Never appeared before any board. Yet the document clearly stated. Final determination approved. Marcus grabbed the file. No. He flipped through the pages rapidly. More evidence. More reports. Dozens of assessments. And at the end. A signature. Arthur Finch. The room fell silent. Victor slowly took the document. His face changed. Then changed again. Confusion. Disbelief. Recognition. No. What? Eleanor demanded. Victor looked up. This isn't a review. What do you mean? It's an exemption. The word landed heavily. Eleanor stared. An exemption from what? Victor's voice was barely audible. From correction. Nobody moved for several seconds. Then Marcus took the file back. The final page explained everything. Not completely. But enough. Years earlier. Arthur Finch had submitted a request. A special designation rarely used. The document classified Eleanor as protected historical witness. Reason. Independent memory verification capability. Eleanor frowned. What does that mean? Victor answered. It means Arthur noticed something unusual about you. What? Victor opened another report. One she had never seen. An internal evaluation written nearly 9 years earlier. The subject line contained her name. The report described multiple incidents. Small incidents. Easy to overlook individually. But together. They formed a pattern. Eleanor remembered historical details after corrections occurred. Not every time. Not perfectly. But often enough to matter. While other people unconsciously accepted changes, she questioned them. Not because she was smarter. Not because she was special. Because her work habits accidentally protected her. She kept handwritten research journals. Printed source copies. Personal annotations. Cross-referenced notes. Thousands of physical records stored outside the correction network. She possessed memory anchors. Evidence preserved beyond the protocol's influence. Arthur had noticed years ago. Long before she did. Long before anyone else did. He realized she could still see discrepancies. And he protected her. A noise came from the hallway. This time much closer. Footsteps. Everyone froze. The footsteps stopped outside the office. Then a voice spoke. An elderly woman's voice. Calm. Steady. Certain. You're finally asking the right questions. Eleanor's heart nearly stopped. The voice wasn't familiar. But Victor's reaction was. He looked like he had seen a ghost. Slowly, painfully slowly, he turned toward the doorway. A woman stood there. Silver hair. Dark coat. Sharp eyes. Perhaps 70 years old. Maybe older. Yet there was something remarkably strong about her presence. Something commanding. Something unmistakably intelligent. Marcus looked between them. You know her. Victor didn't answer. The woman did. Hello, Victor. The room became silent. Because everyone immediately understood. Only one person could create that reaction. Only one person fit the timeline. Only one person had vanished 19 years ago. Eleanor stared. The woman met her gaze. Then smiled faintly. You're much more stubborn than Arthur. Clara Whitmore stepped into the room. Alive. Nobody spoke for several seconds. The impossible reality settled over them. Clara Whitmore. Not dead. Not missing. Standing in front of them. Alive. After 19 years. Eleanor finally found her voice. You disappeared. Clara shook her head. No. What? I left. The distinction mattered. A lot. Victor looked stunned. You could have contacted us. I did. She smiled sadly. You just never realized it. Suddenly dozens of clues flashed through Eleanor's mind. The notes. The warnings. The hidden messages. The reports. The breadcrumbs. Clara had been guiding them. The entire time. Eleanor stepped forward. Tell me the truth. Clara studied her carefully. Then nodded. All of it. All of it. The older woman looked around the room. At the files. The photographs. The decades of evidence. Then she said the sentence that changed everything. The sentence Arthur Finch had spent 20 years trying to prove. The sentence hidden behind the entire mystery. The protocol never controlled history. Silence. Eleanor frowned. What? Clara pointed toward the files. The protocol only records decisions. Nobody understood. Not yet. Clara continued. The master catalog isn't the source. We know that. No. Her voice sharpened. You know the words. A pause. You don't understand them. The room became completely silent. Then Clara delivered the revelation. The real source isn't a catalog. Another pause. Long enough to make everyone lean forward. It's the review board. Marcus frowned. We already found the board. No. Clara shook her head. You found the current board. A smile appeared. Small. Sad. Dangerous. The people making decisions don't know who selected them. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Because suddenly a terrifying possibility emerged. If nobody controlled the protocol, if nobody controlled the board, then who chose the reviewers? Who selected the authorities? Who decided which historians became trusted? Which institutions gained influence? Which corrections mattered? Clara looked directly at Eleanor. And for the first time in the entire story, she appeared genuinely afraid. Then she said, Arthur discovered who has been choosing the reviewers for the last 40 years. Eleanor's pulse hammered. Who? Clara held her gaze. And answered. Someone sitting in this room. The room went silent after Clara's words. Someone sitting in this room. Eleanor looked at Victor. Then Marcus. Then back at Clara. For months, she had searched for a hidden enemy. A person. A mastermind. A villain. But Clara's expression told her something different. The truth was not going to be simple. Explain, Eleanor said. Clara nodded. You deserve the entire truth. She walked toward the wall covered with photographs. Arthur spent years believing the correction protocol was controlled by one person. He searched for a director, a leader, someone making the final decisions. She touched one of the photographs. He was wrong. Then who was controlling it? Marcus asked. No one. The answer surprised them. Clara continued. The protocol became dangerous because everyone involved believed they were doing the right thing. She opened an old file. Historians wanted accuracy. Archivists wanted consistency. Institutions wanted reliable records. She looked at Eleanor. Nobody woke up planning to erase people. A pause. But every correction removed something inconvenient. A name. A disagreement. A contradiction. A memory. Until eventually, thousands of small decisions created a system nobody could stop. Then what did Arthur discover? Eleanor asked. Clara looked down. He discovered the final stage. She opened another file. Inside was Arthur Finch's last report. The first page contained a sentence written in his handwriting. The system no longer needs a controller. It only needs participants. Eleanor read the words carefully. Arthur had understood. The protocol had become automatic. Every year, a review board examined disputed records. Every year, new members replaced old ones. Every year, people who believed in preserving history unknowingly strengthened the system. The board was not a secret organization. It was a collection of ordinary experts. That was why it was so difficult to fight. Marcus looked at Clara. Why did you disappear? For the first time, Clara looked sad. Because I discovered the same thing Arthur did. She took a breath. I tried to expose the protocol 19 years ago. Then why didn't you? Because nobody would believe me. She showed them an old newspaper article. A researcher's reputation destroyed. A career ended. A person's work questioned. Every time someone challenged the system protected itself. Not with violence. Not with threats. With doubt. With paperwork. With official explanations. The easiest way to defeat the truth, Clara said quietly, is to make people believe it was never certain. Eleanor remembered the anonymous messages. The warnings. Clara nodded. They were from me. All of them? Yes. Why hide? Because the protocol monitored direct challenges. Clara smiled faintly. If I had contacted you openly, you would have become a target sooner. Eleanor understood. The messages were not threats. They were guidance. Clues. A trail. Then Eleanor asked the question she had avoided. Arthur. The room became quiet. Clara looked at her. He is dead. The answer was simple. Final. Eleanor felt something heavy settle inside her. When? 6 months ago. Marcus looked shocked. Then why make everyone believe he disappeared? Because his disappearance was the only way to continue the investigation. Clara opened a final file. Arthur's death certificate. A real one. Hidden. Preserved. He knew if the system discovered he was gone, it would immediately replace him. She looked at Eleanor. So he created one final correction. Eleanor frowned. His own disappearance. Clara nodded. Exactly. Arthur removed himself from the records temporarily. Not to hide forever. But to force the protocol to reveal itself. Because when someone important disappeared, the system had to react. It had to correct. And every correction left a trail. Eleanor opened the letter Arthur left her. Now she understood every word. He had not chosen her because she was special. He chose her because she was careful. Because she preserved original sources. Because she questioned official answers. Because she understood the value of uncertainty. At the bottom of the letter was one final sentence. Never replace one version of history with another. Preserve them all. What about my family? Eleanor asked. Clara knew immediately what she meant. Nathan Voss. Eleanor nodded. Clara opened a file. Nathan Voss was not erased because he was dangerous. He was erased because he discovered early corruption inside the protocol. He found evidence that some corrections benefited powerful institutions. He challenged them. The system responded. His records slowly changed. His professional achievements disappeared. His family connections became uncertain. Including Eleanor's. Your records were never meant to erase you completely, Clara explained. They were meant to make your questions seem unreliable. Eleanor felt a strange sadness. Not because she had lost her identity. But because someone had tried to make her doubt it. Victor finally spoke. So what happens now? Clara looked around the room. The protocol ends. Marcus frowned. How? By removing its authority. They transferred the original records. The hidden archive. The conflicting sources. The correction files. Everything. No single version would replace another. The future archives would preserve disagreements. Not erase them. The system that depended on certainty would lose its power. Months later, the library changed. Not dramatically. Quietly. The most important changes were invisible. Catalogs showed multiple sources. Historical disputes remained documented. Researchers could see how conclusions were formed. Not just the final answer. The past was no longer presented as a perfect story. It became what it always had been. A collection of human attempts to understand what came before. One evening, Eleanor returned to the old archive. The hidden room was empty now. No secret files. No hidden system. Only shelves. Books. Records. She placed Arthur's final note inside the original collection. Not hidden. Not protected. Available. For anyone. She turned off the light. Then stopped. Because she noticed one final thing. A small label on the shelf. Old handwriting. Arthur's. It read. The truth does not need correction. It needs witnesses. Eleanor smiled. Then closed the door. Not because the story was finished. But because history never truly was. It continued. With every person who searched. Every person who questioned. Every person who refused to accept an easy answer. The Library of Corrections ends as a mystery thriller about information, memory, institutions, and the danger of allowing any system to decide which version of history deserves to survive.